to another episode of Calcio Culture. I am Vos, and I'm joined by both my co-hosts today, Mats and Logs. Today, we're previewing match week number 1 in the Serie A, which kicks off on Saturday. All the work we've done, guys, has been leading up to this. We've previewed the teams. We've predicted the table. Thank God the season is finally here.
Ciao, ragazzi. This is why you put in all the hard work. When the hot summer sun, looking down, bearing down on your bare back, you're working in the fields, trying to watch some Serie A. This is what it's made for. This is why we're here. Opening weekend. Find me at the closest bar, showing every single game on all 10 TVs. I'll see you there, paisans.
Logan's going to be at Legends. If any of the paisanos are in NYC,
Easily.
he'll be at Legends. I'm super excited. Calcio is back. It's the never-ending story. I heard that from the commentator today in the Atalanta Madrid game. It really is because, there's no off-season for these guys. It's always going on. You got to love it. I'm pumped. It was only 2 months? 2 months ago or something like that. Pumped that it's back. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm done talking about friendlies. I'm done talking about international. I'm even done with the Mercato at this point. I'm ready for some real storylines that come to fruition. Match day number 1. We know it's going to be happening. But as of right now, we have very little football that has already happened. But as always, we have some quick shouts. Mats is leading it off here. There was a major announcement today from CBS.
There was a major announcement, and that is the Serie A is getting their first ever game on CBS on August 24th, Milan against Parma. Super, super excited. This is a step in the right direction for this league. It is now time that we can close. This is a step to close that money gap between the Premier League and this league. If we can get more games televised, it means more money for the league, more money for every team. I'm super, super excited. And now maybe this means they'll fix their Paramount Plus will fix their halftime reports. They'll get more announcers. They'll get more halftime shows. They will hire Calcio Culture to do a halftime show. And it's just a step in the right direction, baby. Let's go.
I cannot emphasize this enough. The A team is now not even going to be in the studio. So if we ever had a chance at a halftime on some of these games, it's officially dead. Calcio Culture is here. We're going to continue to preach this. CBS executives, if you are listening, we're one phone call away.
Golazo TV and Calcio Culture go hand in hand. I don't know how we haven't seen it. I don't know how we haven't seen it before, but this is the 1-2 punch that everybody needed. We need to be the B team. Get us on Golazo TV. Calcio Culture is here to stay.
It's the collab that people didn't know they needed.
Except for the paisanos listening. You guys keep us afloat here. But into some actual football news out of Real Madrid. We had a couple things happen. Mats highlighted these. Mats is taking through us a lot of quick shouts today. It's kind of new territory. Usually it's Logs ripping us through here. Mats, what do we got from Real Madrid?
Vinicius Junior. Maybe this is more from Saudi, but Vinicius Junior offered a 5-year contract worth $1 billion to go play in the Saudi league. That is insane. The contract is he can still come back to Europe when he's 29. So he can go make $1 billion and then still play European football. Doesn't look like he's going to take it or Madrid's going to accept the bid, but still an insane offer that somebody was offered a contract of $1 billion over 5 years. I saw on Twitter, I think it breaks it down to he makes $10 a second. It's insane.
In all seriousness here, I think that the Saudi league has brought a obviously hugely different dimension to the world of footy. It's kind of destroyed the idea of our Koulibaly conundrum, where players are really, really good, but just simply not worth the price tag to get them out of there.
Not a conundrum.
Saudis come in and absolutely destroyed that idea. However, this has been the storyline since the Saudi league has come to the scene. Sometimes there's just not enough money in the world to get guys to get out of the top 5 leagues, especially when they're in a position for glory, for the Champions League, for the treble, whatever it may be, for their legacy. There's not enough money in the world to get them to leave the team. And Vinny is, I think, exhibit A of exactly that situation.
Definitely. And on the flip side of this, going into the other side of the world, I think that this has hurt the MLS, and I have talked about this many times off the air. The MLS has this like identity crisis that they still haven't worked through, where they're kind of the retirement league for these older guys. Messi, good example. Beckham, Gerrard, Pirlo, like the list goes on and on and on.
Olivier
And
Giroud.
now realistically, that's probably going to start dying more than it already has. With Saudi
Yeah.
willing to offer so much more money, why would you come to the US? Like, just go to Saudi. Like, you're good. So I don't know. MLS needs to figure out their stuff. I still don't watch it because I think it's terrible. I'm still not going to watch it because it's still terrible.
With Messi there, they get some traction with old legends going there. It'll be interesting to see when Messi leaves. And I'll say the same thing with Ronaldo at Saudi. It's more, players more inclined to go to Saudi as well. Maybe when Ronaldo leaves, it'll change. However, if the money's still there, I doubt it. But I do agree, it's not for people or players in their prime. It's more for a retirement home, and you just go collect 100 mil a year, and this become double your net worth that you've made in your playing career.
Ludicrous money.
Not to harp on the MLS because none of us care that much about it, but as a proud Inter Miami season ticket holder, I do have high hopes that the MLS finds that identity, finds a way to become relevant. It is the retirement league. Although, big news today out of the Chicago Fire, permitting Shaqiri, if he comes back to the top 5 leagues and shows him what he got, and he still's got a little juice, I think that means the MLS is a little bit still competitive because Shaqiri was terrible for his time in Chicago.
Done with the MLS talk here. Another guy we really like on Real Madrid. Mats, you got stats for us here.
Carlo Ancelotti won another European tournament or European trophy. I guess this one really wasn't a tournament, it's a game, which makes him the most winning manager of European trophies. I forgot how much he's won exactly. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's 7 Champions leagues and 6 Super Cups. We'll have to fact check me there, but I mean, this is a great manager. He's a kind of a different manager than today's managers, where it's more system. He's very much a man manager. But what I wanted to mostly say about this is talk about Italian managers dominating in today's game. Ancelotti leading the charge, has been here forever, is a serial winner, wins everywhere he goes. Italian managers, you got to get them, find them and hire them because they know how to win.
Yeah, and interesting enough, we're going to talk about the Atalanta Real Madrid game in a little bit more depth in a second here. But the guy on the other touchline, Gasparini, also an Italian manager. The list is continuing to grow. Calcio is taking over the world, really, and we're seeing it happen, which is super exciting. We know everybody that's tuning in loves Calcio, and it was long overdue for us to get back to this point. And the CBS announcement, another one, modernizing Italian football, it's coming back.
Correct. Yeah. Calcio's coming back. And like we keep saying, Calcio culture is the driving force behind that. We're going to keep doing our part. Another quick shout for you today that I'll let the Paisanos know. As I mentioned earlier, Calcio is this weekend. Premier League starts this weekend. A lot of games this weekend. And guess who is still teamless? Free agent Adrian Rabiot posted an Instagram today. You just need to enjoy life. He's over there. Nobody wants him. Nobody wants to pay what he was requesting, $7-10 million a year. I hear all the time, oh, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. He's a workhorse. He starts for the French national team. He's so good. Tell me why he is still teamless. It's because he's not worth the money.
Not worth the money, and no one wants to deal with his mom. Plain and simple.
Yeah, the mom. Yeah, nobody wants to deal with Adrian Rabiot's mom. That's really the big takeaway for me. Yeah, I mean, he's a tough guy to pay a lot of money, period. I don't know why he thinks he can command that much money. He should just go to Saudi. I don't even know if there's a Saudi offer on the table for him.
He's so big, and him and his mom are like, Adrian wants to play Champions League football. Adrian wants $10 million. Adrian this, Adrian that. Shut the fuck up, Veronica. He's really not that good. The only thing that he's good at is running up and down and not getting injured. He doesn't add any quality to the team. He just is a big body.
At least he doesn't get injured. We can't say that about a lot of guys playing in Bergamo. So at least he's got something going for him. But there was another game here. If we can call it a competitive match, it's kind of a friendly. There was a trophy involved. Lugs, what did AC Milan do here?
The quadruple is in play for both Monza and AC Milan on a year-by-year basis going forward. AC yesterday took home the Trofeo Silvio Berlusconi. R.I.P. Silvio. For you paisanos that do not know, Silvio was a long-time Italian prime minister, longest in the post-war era. Little history fun fact for you out there. Was very influential for both AC Milan and Monza. He passed away, unfortunately, in 2023. So this will be an annual game preseason for both these teams. There is now a trophy involved. AC brings it home 3-1. Couple of magnificent goals in this game. You start off 11th minute with Vose's absolute dog, Alexi Salamakers, off a back heel pass from Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Rabona into the back of the net from the top of the box. I've seen every single angle possible of this goal. I still don't know if it was technically deflected, but it was still nasty. Great technique out of this guy. I've said it before. I'm not particularly amazed by him, but this was certainly something that turned me on to his game for this season. We'll see if he can continue it. And then coming in the second half, game 2-1 to put it away from 30 yards. Tijani Reinders, indirect free kick, boots it into the net. I've never seen anything like it. This guy's the real deal. He's going to lead us to glory this year. And it was a phenomenal match for AC to start the season ahead of the opening weekend here.
I mean,
Still a
listen,
friendly. I don't read too much into friendlies. It was against Monza. What I do want to say about this is
There was a trophy. There was a trophy.
the piece that I have always highlighted with Alexis Salamakers is his technical ability that he was not able to showcase under Pioli. This is another example of the shit that this guy can do. And I think this season we're going to see it. He is better than Chukwueze. I think Fonseca is going to realize that very quickly and play him a lot. And that this is going to be a guy that's in the 11 all the time.
If he does show up, it certainly will be a nice offset to Chukwueze, especially if he does play. If Salamakers does start over Chukwueze, it'll be a phenomenal sub for him to come on. That is Chucky in the second half, bring on some energy. But depending on who we do play, I do think that there's a spot in the squad for either one of them, whether we want to be a little bit more attacking or we need a little bit of support behind the ball.
Yeah, that's the other piece. What I like about Salamakers is he balances the team a lot better than Chukwueze or Pulisic would, in that he can cover ground on the right side when the left side is Teo and Rafael Leao. Like, you need that balance.
This isn't the AC Milan breakdown here, boys. We'll talk about that later on in the season. But I just wanted to pipe in here and just say, once again, we're showing the difference between a Milan fan and a Juventus fan. You think I'm bringing up a fucking friendly trophy over here about a trophy winning in the preseason game? Fuck no. And that's the difference.
You can't even win a preseason game.
When was the last time you saw any silverware besides on the dinner table?
Coppa Italia last year.
Come on. What'd you do last season? Come in
I
second
don't even
place?
count the Copa. I throw Copa out the window every year.
You just keep proving my point. Milan don't care about trophies. You don't care. Juventus does. You have to win trophies. That's why we're a bigger club. Thank you for continuing to prove my point over and over again.
Scudetto or die. That's how I look at it.
We don't have any of them. You may have 3 stars. You may have 3 stars.
I've died a lot.
37 Scudettos.
Rolling it on here to an actual competitive match with a real trophy. UEFA Super Cup happened today. We alluded to it a little bit before. Real Madrid beat Atalanta 2-0 in Warsaw, Poland. I would say Atalanta is devastated by this loss. We know Gasperini really wanted to win this game. We did see Mbappe in a competitive match for Real Madrid for the first time. He netted one. That was interesting to see. How do you guys feel a couple hours after this game happened? Because I have some strong opinions about it.
Well, I personally want to shoot it back to you, Vos, as the guy who put Atalanta at 2 in his prediction table. How does this change your outlook on Atalanta? How much weight do you put into this game? And how much does that change where you think that they're going to land?
I have a lot of positives from this game, actually. I think that they had a couple chances that they missed. Courtois made an insane save on a pass to Lecce. Lookman had some good chances. Charles de Ketelaere looked very positive. The 2 goals that they conceded, the most Atalanta way ever to concede. They were in build-up. They were really loose. They passed the ball back to the goalie. This was on the first goal. Kicked it forward, and instead of kicking it out, they just kicked it to Real Madrid, and then Real Madrid came down and scored because everybody was out of position. On the second goal, center back taking the ball out just lost it to Rodrigo, and then Rodrigo was able to attack. Outside of that, if Atalanta had scored their couple opportunities, this could have been a different game. If Courtois doesn't make that save, it's 1-0, and then I don't know what happens after that. And the other thing is, losing to Real Madrid is not the end of the world. Everybody lost to Real Madrid. Everybody has lost to Real Madrid for the last 5, 6 years. Nobody can beat Real Madrid for whatever reason in European competitions. My takeaway is Atalanta can continue to play the way they're playing and be competitive against everybody because they probably just played the best team they're going to play the entire season.
I certainly agree with I agree with a lot with what you just said. The biggest point being losing to Real is certainly nothing to freak out about. They are a stacked squad, and watching that midfield today was just an absolute orgasmic experience. I think that the Tchouaméni, Valverde, Jude Bellingham might be one of the most dynamic midfields I've seen in a very long time. All three of those guys can score goals, can play phenomenal defense, high energy, covers a lot of the field. So with that being said, what Atalanta need to figure out is that defense. Because I think their front seven, call it, I think that adds up, front seven. That back three does not look strong. It looks shaky. It looks unexperienced. They don't have Scalvini. They didn't bring anybody in besides Ben Gottfried. I think that Gasperini needs to focus on that back line for them to live up to the potential that at least Vos and I think that they can come through this season. Again, this game, I said the other day, this game doesn't particularly matter. It's a nice little sticker to start the season off, but playing Real Madrid, playing in a game that simply doesn't really matter, they can move on from this. They can have a good start to this weekend and be okay.
I wouldn't say the game doesn't matter. I mean, for Atalanta, it definitely matters. Madrid probably matters less.
I agree, Miles.
It's Madrid. You guys hit the nail on the head, so I'm not gonna repeat what you guys said there in terms of them losing. However, yes, it could have been 1-0. At one point, Courtois did make a nice save. This game could have also ended 5-0. Atalanta's goalie saved a lot of shots when it was 2-0. Madrid just started peppering them. And so I think it could have been way worse. They definitely were missing Coop Miners in the midfield. I thought the times that Atalanta had possession, they did look dangerous, but they were missing a guy to make that final ball. I know Retegi's still learning the system. I thought they were really missing a number 9 there. I saw a lot of holes from Atalanta in this game.
Well,
but obviously,
the other thing is that Retegi didn't start.
I know he came in the second half, but I don't think he did much when he was in there. Once again, though, it is Madrid, so I'm not reading into it too much. They definitely didn't look amazing, but obviously Madrid is a different level compared to the teams that they're going to be playing in the Serie A.
Yeah, my last 2 points on this. Number one is that I like that they continuing to do what got them to this point is they play the way they want to play and they don't care who they're playing. And at any point, they're just such a wild card. Like they can win any game because they're willing to do that. And we saw that today. Yeah. It could have gone differently. Obviously, once they went down, they opened up more and more, and that's where a lot of the opportunities came from. But for the first half, they were very much in the game. They went into the locker room 0-0.
Yeah, I think they outplayed Madrid in the first half for sure. Where I think it really hurt them in the way that, like you said, they have a style of play and they're sticking to it. Madrid can just counterattack you.
Yeah.
They're so lethal with Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinny that when the game started opening up, it became over for them. But I do agree they outplayed them in the first half. It took Madrid a half to figure them out.
That high press is going to work so well in Serie A. Again, the only way to beat that high press is to have Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius, three of the fastest players in the entire world up top, where you can just launch a ball, you're one-on-one, and if they bring it down, they're going to have a shot on net. But when you look at that from a Serie A perspective, that's going to work so well for majority of the season. They might not even need to play the high press for a lot of their games because with that, they're going to get the ball back so quickly. And if they can turn that high press into a ball dominant possession based team, which to be seen, I'm not sure that that's Gasperini's style, but it actually might end up being that they win the ball back so quickly that they're going to be possession based, and I think that's gonna suit them very well throughout the season.
To wrap up here on this game, the one piece that I really want to point out that was really amazing to me was just seeing Atalanta take the field against Real Madrid in a competitive match for a trophy. That was really amazing. Like, this is a club that has no business being here. And the fact that they've been able to get to this point on this journey is absolutely incredible.
I don't know if it's incredible. I mean, they were in the semifinals of the Champions League before. They almost arguably should have been in the Champions League final. Like, they won the Europa League. I think Atalanta's like very much capable of winning the Europa League, and now they're in the Champions League and they're going to be playing teams like Madrid throughout the season. So I wouldn't say it's incredible, but good for them.
Of Bayern or Man City. I mean, I wouldn't put Atalanta any less than Sevilla. So for me, not necessarily surprising, but I do think it's very good for the brand of Serie A for a team to be in this position.
Fair enough. But with that, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to be giving you our previews of the matches this week. We're back from the break, guys, to get into the mortadella, the meat of this episode. And what we've done today is we picked out the couple of games that we think you guys should really hone in on. And these are the games that we're going to be previewing. We'll review the other games that are going to be going on. These are the ones that we want to say. If you're going to watch them, these are the ones to watch.
Very excited for opening weekend here. We have a couple of good matchups, a couple of not so good, but first week, everything's exciting. I literally want to watch every single game except for one. There's one game I do not want to put my eyes on. Monza Empoli is going to be a rock fight. A rock fight for the opening weekend. My eyes will not put a lick on that game, but everything else is super exciting. I'm just here for opening weekend.
And the
I'm
first
excited.
game of this weekend is going to be Inter Milan, the Scudetto champions, defending the title once again at Genoa. What are your expectations for this game, Mats? Because we've already done the preview of all the teams we're going to be seeing here. We don't really have anything new to say based off of, we don't have anything else to see or no record to point to. So this is just an expectation to it's a heat check for the beginning of the season, really. What are you expecting from Inter here?
Pretty much the same as last season. Just go in, probably dominate this game. Maybe show off their new shiny toys. I know that Taremi and Zelensky they picked up a knock during training, but Zelensky is recovering faster than people anticipated, so he might be able to get a sub in and get some time on the field. I don't believe that's the case for Taremi, but I just think Inter's going to go in, dominate possession, score 2 goals, probably shut out Genoa. And I also think we'll be able to see some of Inter's maybe second string players because it is Genoa, and Genoa is slightly weaker than last year. Obviously, Retegui left, and Goodmanson, we're not sure if he's going to be there or not for match day 1 for Genoa. So maybe Inter will play Bisek and other players, or maybe we'll see Davide Cortese get in, or maybe take the start. But I just see a domination from Inter, possession of the ball, 2-0, easy win.
I would love to see Genoa show out, especially at home. I do think it's really weird that the champions aren't playing their first game at home. I feel like that's kind of a tradition. You should open up at home. You won the Scudetto. You should be in front of your fans. This is gonna be a bloodbath. I don't foresee Inter. I don't foresee Inter taking this easy. It's the first game of the season. You need to set the precedent. They're gonna play all the starters. If I'm Inzaghi, I'm playing all the starters. I'm playing Thuram, Lautaro, Hakan, Barella, the dogs, everybody. This is gonna be 4-1. Lautaro's gonna get off to a hot start here, probably get a brace. Barella's gonna put in 1. Maybe you see Zielinski come in as a sub, get a goal as the newcomer. Genoa will get 1 if Goodmanson's playing. This is going to be a little bit scary for the rest of the league, seeing Inter come off to such a hot start. 4-1 is my prediction at Genoa. That salami is going to be torched. It might taste better that way, but a hot start for Inter. You've heard it here first.
Fair. This is one of the ones I talked about it last episode. Stability helps you at the beginning of the season. It helps you build that lead. I expect them to come out with the exact same lineup that they played all last season and set the precedent. We are here to win this again. They're going to play great because they don't need to change anything from what they've been doing. They have the same guys. I think they're going to roll this Genoa team, and I'm predicting 3-0, and this is going to be fully business as usual. Here we go again. I just Inter's going to roll at the beginning of the season. I just have such confidence in them. They've been doing this for so long with the same players. It has to happen.
I
They
mean,
they have to.
against Genoa, they might roll. I don't know what their because I haven't looked at their schedule exactly, but I don't know who they play in the beginning games. But I really do think they're not going to roll teams like they did last year in terms of the big teams. Because if they roll out in their 3-5-2, they all Milan, Roma, Juve, every team has Atalanta. Every team has watched film, figured out how they can break this 3-5-2 down, how they can stop it. And I think Inter's going to be not in for a rude awakening, but when you win the Scudetto, you're going to get every single team's best game every single time. They want to beat you. So I think they will roll against Genoa. I don't know what their schedule looks like to begin the season, but I don't think that they're going to dominate like you're saying every game in the start of the season.
Keeping it with the Milan teams, the other game we wanted to pull out from the Rossoneri, they are going to be opening up the season at the San Siro. AC Milan against Torino. This is an interesting game for me because this is not an easy game to start the season with if you're Fonseca. I think you were kind of hoping you would get a lower level team. Obviously, Torino isn't our traditional top 8, top 7, whatever you want to call it. But this is an experienced Serie A team that is very hard to play against. They do have a new coach who managed. If there is going to be an upset this weekend, I would say that this is probably the game to look out for it in. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but this is a real test for Fonseca, Logs.
I agree. I agree with everything you just said. This is not the game that I wanted to start out as a Milan fan, to start out the true Fonseca saga here. Torino has always been a really, really tough, rigid squad for a lot of the top teams to go up against. It's never been a guaranteed 3 points, and certainly not for Milan. And what you go back to about stability, a good amount of change coming in terms of play style, a couple of new players coming in that are due to start. I still think Milan come away with this. I think we've had a phenomenal preseason, a lot of strong games, a lot of strong showings. I think that these players look rejuvenated to a certain extent from coming off of the Pioli era. And so I think they're going to want to come out hot. They're in front of the home fans. We're at the San Siro. The real champions are opening it up. Just kidding. We're not going to win the league, but it's okay. 2-0 is my call here. I'm not sure that Torino is going to come out with enough firepower. I think, again, the rejuvenation is really what I'm excited to see come Saturday. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you guys line up with Fonseca. I know you guys, like you said, Lokes have had a great preseason, but obviously that doesn't always carry over. And then in terms of Torino, it'll be interesting to watch them because they're usually very, very hard to break down. They did obviously lose Buongiorno in the summer. However, we have seen Torino lose the Serie A Defender of the Year before in Bremer, and then Buongiorno took his place. So maybe they have somebody coming up that they felt comfortable to sell Buongiorno. They obviously didn't buy anybody to replace him, but they only allowed 36 goals in last season. So they're always a hard team to break down. However, they also only scored 36 goals. So I'm interested to see if they can even score a goal, what their attack is going to look like. They do have some talent up top. So I was surprised that they only scored 36 last year, but it'll be interesting to see what their offense looks like and if Milan can kind of counter and possess them and break them down as well. I think that this game is going to be 2-1 Milan win. Yeah.
I'm in agreement. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Milan win, although don't think it's going to be very pretty. I'm worried about AC Milan's defense, and this is something we had pulled out coming into the season. I'm guessing that they're going to look shaky. And with the experience that the Torino attack has, I could see them jumping on Milan early and kind of going off to a 1-0 lead. I do think AC Milan's attack is going to get a little bit overwhelming for this team, and they'll kind of get the jitters out. I think it's going to be a jitters thing, right? At the San Siro, opening it up, new coach, a lot of new guys in the team. I think they're going to get scored on, get knocked back into reality, and they'll figure it out. Leao is going to be a big one. This is a game he's probably going to go against Bellanova. So it's a good check. Hey, is Bellanova still the guy that a lot of people think he is? I do. I'm shocked that he's still on Torino, personally. I don't know how he didn't leave. I don't know how everybody was even linked to him. That's the player to watch in this game for Torino, their right back, right wing back, whatever you want to call him. But I do expect this game to be 2-1 for Milan. I think this is going to be a heat check for them and maybe a wake up call early in the season, but we will see. But it should be a good game regardless. This is probably one of the better games the entire weekend. Another game we got Antonio Conte, not his first competitive match, but his first competitive match in Serie A with Napoli. Mats, this is a team you're hot on. They're playing at Hellas Verona, a team that I am pretty hot on. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think Napoli is going to go in. Antonio Conte's got prepared. He's going to be preparing all week for this team, and they're going to go and dismantle Verona. Verona did lose their manager, so new manager having to learn a new system. I know last winter, I'm pretty sure they sold like half their squad, 10, 15 guys. So it's like all new faces over there. They're learning all types of things. Not that Napoli's not with a new manager, but having Cavada, having Zambo, having Labaka, those players are just going to overwhelm Verona, and it's going to be a domination for Napoli. 3-0. Cavada probably will get 2, even without a 9. Because as you did mention last episode, Bose, they did have a glaring problem without that 9. I think Verona is a little weak, so they won't suffer too much there. But I think Napoli go in, dismantle them. Antonio Conte gets off to a hot start, and they win 3-0.
I see this game going almost exactly as Vos explained the Milan game. I think they're going to come out very shaky. I don't know if they were able to shake off the jitters in their original Copa game against Parma. And I said this before, there's going to be a ton of growing pains for this team. Very different system coming in, a system that's going to work, a system where they have players that's going to fit into that system, but it's going to take some time. Again, that attacking line is very much in flux right now, especially, again, go back to it. What's Victor going to do? Is that guy going to play on Saturday? I doubt it. But from my perspective, again, going to be a shaky win, 2-1. They're simply better than Verona. But I do think that Verona is going to have a 30-minute window at the front where if they come out hot and they come out and they're on the front foot, they may put one past them, catch them a little off guard. Then they're going to lean on Zambo, on Cavaradona, on Politano to get those 2 goals to get the win. I don't see Napoli coming out of this game with a loss. A draw, perhaps, but I do see a 2-1 win for Napoli here.
This game, I would say, has a lot more pressure on this Napoli team than it should because of what happened in that first game. I think that there is a lot of pressure on Conte. There's a lot of pressure on the players after a very poor performance that there's no argument against it, against Modena at home. So if you couple that with a loss here, it is instant hot seat for the entire team, including Conte. I know big picture, it's the first game of the season, but in modern football, this is the case. If you start poorly, this can spiral out of control quickly from a management perspective, from an ownership perspective. And if they don't get firing and they lose a couple games in a row here to start the season, Conte is going to be on the hot seat with Laurentis, period. This is the way modern football is played.
Conte will not be on the hot seat. Conte will be putting himself on the hot seat, being like, you didn't get me the players I need. I will now leave. De Laurentiis isn't going to fire Conte because he won't be on De Laurentiis won't be putting Conte on the hot seat. Conte will be putting De Laurentiis and himself on it, being like, what do you expect me to do? Because you didn't let me get the players that I need in my system. I'm going to walk out the door because that's who Conte is. It's not going to be opposite. But if they do string together some poor performances, I do think Conte will get pissed and maybe pack his bags and leave by December. But I don't think that's going to happen because this is a team
insane.
they do have a game that they just played. They can learn from their mistakes. They can break down film. They can see what they didn't do correctly, how to correct those mistakes. And Conte is showing them that and showing them, this is what I need from you. This is where I need you to be. And I think that's why they're going to go in and look much better on their second game than they did last game.
Yeah,
Mox, I
I
think
I'm
that's
guessing that
the
they're gonna learn from their mistakes and get a 1-0 win here. They couldn't score and they couldn't create chances. They should be able to correct that. And again, the defense is gonna be what they rely on all season. It's if the goals are gonna come. I'm predicting 1-0 win for Napoli.
on the trend of fixing mistakes. I did say Parma. I meant Modena, but the biggest thing for me to watch for this game is to see where Conte changes Raspadori's role, because again, as Vo said, that was just simply not the place for him. He's not a true nine. If they can fit him in a front line with Cavaradona, with I don't know how to say his name correctly. I'm just going to stick to
Say
Cavaradona,
Cavani.
Cavada, and Politano. Then then I'll have a lot more confidence in this team. But depending on what he does and what he changes with Raspadori, that's going to be a big factor for me.
I just want to say
Well,
one more thing. There's no chance this team scores on Napoli. There's no shot.
yeah, that's where I'm getting this, like, Napoli's going to get one. And on the Raspadori thing, this is part of my point in why I had them so low on the table, is because I don't know where else you play Raspadori with Kvaratskhelia and Politano, because they are clearly the wingers. And if you play Raspadori in his preferred role as like a false nine, you kind of are hurting the space that those two guys want to end up using. So that's what I don't see a way to get all three of them in the team and have Raspadori be effective in any way.
Yeah, I agree with that point. I think Raspadori would be better off in Politano's spot. And then instead of them running a 3-4-3, it looks like a 3-4-2-1 where Cavada's taking more of the attacking mid space and Spinazzola is holding the wide area. Although I know you said when you watched Cavada, they switched that in the second half. But I would agree, Raspadori playing that false nine would just be like three flat across the middle, which would hurt them. I really think Raspadori's best spot is in the Politano role.
Post, did you take some Georgian lessons? Is that where you learned how to say his full name?
No, just pay attention. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I just wouldn't take Politano out to get Raspadori in either. That's my other issue. I think Politano is a better player.
But Politano can only give you 60 minutes. So if Raspadori doesn't start, which I think he probably will, you could just sub him Politano out in the 60th minute because he's only going 60.
Yeah. Yeah. But that wraps up Napoli. We got one more game that we really wanted to pull out here, and it's Matz's boys opening it up at home. The Bianconeri, Juventus at home against Como to lead it off.
Yes, sir. I think this is a team that Vos was saying he would wish Milan got on the start. More just fresh team, just promoted to the Serie A in Como. Love that this is a matchup for Juventus for the first game because it's kind of a tune-up game. I don't want to call it that because Juventus has looked extremely shaky in the preseason. They did lose to a Bundesliga second league team or tie. No, they lost 3-0 to that team. So don't want to call it a tune-up game because Como, you never know what happens. It is football, like anything can happen. But I like how this. I'm happy that this is the matchup that Juve have because I expect to see ball dominant Juve. I expect to see much more better defending. Juve haven't not let up a goal in preseason, and I think against Como, this can be the first game where we shut them out. And then we can build on that from a defensive standpoint. We can build on that from a modern ball system, dominating the ball, creating passages play, learning it more, and then adding players as well. I expect it to be 1-0 or 2-0, maybe 1-0, just because also in preseason, we really have been lacking creative play and Dusan has looked terrible and we're very, very thin up top. I don't see us getting a player in before this game. So it looks like it's probably be Yildiz, Vlahovic, and Weah up top, which is pretty thin. I do think they could beat Como. I don't know if we're going to get 3 past them. So 1-0, 2-0, Juve win.
I agree. Juve 2-0 here. Como being newcomers to the league, they're just be too excited to be involved. They're looking for their participation medal here. A lot of good names on the squad. However, I think this Juve team is going to come out very confident. First Serie A game of the season. They're wearing the Juve badge. They know who they are. They know what they mean to this league. To start off hot for them is super important. I think Monza is going to instill that in them as well. And Vlahovic will find his way through this one. I'm not sure that Como has the ability nor the continuity to even show up for this game. Um, Again, they're happy to be here. They're chilling by the lake preseason. Juve's going to come in, make their mark. It'll be interesting to see past this game how they continue what I think is going to be a very confident start. But for Saturday or Sunday, I forget which day they play.
Monday.
Monday, I'm all over the place. I don't even know what day Monday is. 2-0, Juve.
I think this is going to be a bloodbath. I fully see the new Juve players, and this helps them that they're at home. I think they are going to have so much energy to just run this game. Like all those new guys are like, we're in front of the new fans, where they should be thinking we're the best Italian team. We're going to bring them back to like their glory days. I'm talking about the Douglas Luiz, the Kefron Tarams, those guys that are, I just think there's going to be so much energy in that. And then on the back end, where we're worried about the defense, I think Bremer is actually going to be a very calming force for the new guys and saying, we're at home. We are better than them. We're here to win games. We are Juventus. Everybody be calm. We have the firepower up top to get this done. And it's going to be 3-0. I think the fans are going to be so excited for this game under Mata, the new players coming in, seeing that new version of Juventus, that that place is going to explode once a goal goes in.
Are
And
they at home? Is that fact?
yeah, they are.
They are? Okay, I thought they were away.
Everything I'm reading says they're at home.
I didn't look. So if they're at home. I couldn't agree more with your points. Like Bremer, Douglas Luiz, Thuram, Dusan Vlahovic, Cambiaso, just to name a few. Like the guys on Como can't hold their jock strap. Like they're just better, pound for pound, player for player. Like that's not breaking news. They're just gonna overwhelm them with talent at some point in the game and beat these guys.
And for Bremer, I think even in his mind, because we've been talking about, oh, can you play in a back four? Like that's what we're expecting Juve to do. I'm sure he's hearing this and he's ready to be like, fuck you guys. I won Defender of the Year because I'm really good in my own way. And I'm going to be a dominant center back this year playing with a two-man defense. And I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to see this Juventus team because I think that they can be very exciting. And I think that they can be extremely dominant in games like this with the midfield that they have.
So they're gonna get stronger.
Rejuvenated midfield is certainly 100%. It's certainly the biggest additive for this team. The Bremer points are well noted, and if that man can develop some kind of on the ball skill, it's a whole different ball game for that back line. Simply a whole different ball game. But from a Douglas Luiz, Kefron Thuram, maybe Locatelli shows up. We know Beans is excited for this season opener, given the fact that he was suspended last season. They're going to come out firing. I'm really excited for it.
I'd also like to see Big Yildiz involved early, try to get his confidence up. This is a team that he can dominate. He can show his skill, get that confidence flying high. Because he had a pretty decent Euros, but since then in the preseason he's looked pretty underwhelming. Yildiz is a guy who's very hit or miss for me when I watch him. He has flashy highlights, but he'll go a couple games without even seeing him get the ball. So get him involved, get his confidence up, and
For sure. My last point that I want to make before we do jump from this is that the other piece of this that we haven't really even talked about on the previews or anything. New manager, everybody starts at the same place. If you play bad, you can lose your spot really quickly because somebody else, like nobody has a right to any position anymore. We have a new manager and you have to earn your position. So everybody is going to be very aware of that and know that they're playing for a spot, especially the guys that we mentioned there with Locatelli and Beans, who know they were already on the hot seat and now they are even more on the hot seat with a new manager.
Well, it's even more interesting that just made me think of what happens with Chiesa. He has not been included on any preseason game. Is he going to be in the lineup at all? Because is he going to start on the bench? Is he going to start? That'll be very, very interesting to see. I think if they do not include Chiesa in this squad, for match day 1, holy shit, that would be a fucking bomb. I would hate it. I would hate it.
I thought about this and I didn't bring it up because I have no idea what they're gonna do.
No clue.
Like he could start, he could be on the bench, or he could not even be in the stadium. I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Part of me, if I'm Chiesa, is like, fuck this. Stick it to the guy. I'm gonna force my way out of here. I'm getting out of Turin. But then the other part of it is obviously he's under contract. He's not going anywhere.
Nobody wants
He
him.
but he cannot afford a season like Fabian Rui on Napoli. He cannot just be on the bench and sweats the entire season. He needs to show out here. This is a pivotal time for him, especially given his age. This is when he really needs to. I mean, this is, he should be peaking at this point. So he almost just has to be like, all right, Mata, like if I don't get sold, like I need to show you what I've got in training to at least be on the bench, and then work his way from the bench to the lineup, which again, it would be crazy to see if Chiesa is still on this Juve team and they don't utilize that talent throughout. So it'll be interesting to see. It would be crazy not to see him at least included in the squad. But given the preseason, I definitely see why he wouldn't be.
I think he's gonna get left out now that I'm thinking about this. With everything that Mata has said publicly, you have to just leave him out of the team at this point, right? Like,
It makes no sense, but I don't
it is
disagree.
so
But
disrespectful.
it's so, but what I don't understand, and this guy wasn't Mata's first choice on Bologna, and I don't understand why Mata doesn't look at Chiesa and say, you can just be a better Orsolini. Like Orsolini balled under Mata. He wasn't his first choice, had a great year. Chiesa's better in every way. I don't understand why it's like, you could just be my Orsolini. Doesn't make sense to me, but yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see.
Be my Orsolini. That's a line.
Not a huge ask. And he likes Salamakers too, which is like kind of similar still. Like, I don't know. But we talked about that enough. We're going to have an answer for you on Monday afternoon as to what has happened with Chiesa. But those are the games, guys, the ones to watch. To quickly take you through the other games happening this weekend, Parma versus Fiorentina. If you have time, that should be a very interesting one. As Logs mentioned, skip Empoli and Monza. You don't want to watch that one. Bologna versus Udinese. That should give us a decent barometer of how Bologna should be for the year. Obviously it's first game, but that'll be an interesting one. Cagliari versus Roma. That's one we're particularly interested. We're expecting Roma to thrash these guys. Lazio against Venezia and Lecce against Atalanta. We'll see if Atalanta can bounce back from that Super Cup defeat. But with that, guys, we got a quick break and we get back. We have a new segment for you starting with the season. We're back, guys, for a new segment in arguably our favorite segment. I think it's going to be yours. This is the first official
Colpi di luna.
Colpi di Luna.
Colpi di Luna.
Colpi di Luna.
Explain to the Paisans what the Colpi di Luna is here.
Colpi di Luna.
The inaugural, the very first, the genesis of the Colpi di Luna. For you American paisans that do not speak a lick of Italian, that direct translation is the moonshots. In layman terms, this is Calcio Culture's weekly parlay. Each of us pick a leg. It can be anywhere from minus 500 if we're really feeling that we need to pick up to plus 500 for feeling lucky. We put them all together. We get you the parlay of the week. You can take all legs individually. You can put them all together. You can pick and choose. But these are our best picks of the week. We will be tracking this all season long, and we will see who is the real degenerate gambler of Calcio Culture.
And if any of you guys are really into this, we will love for you to give us a fourth leg of the Colpi here and just shoot us a note, shoot us a comment, and we'll shout it out and we'll get it in on the Colpi.
Tweet at us, comment, anything. We'll add that fourth leg. We're going to make you guys money. We're going to make ourselves money. Colpi di Luna.
But to start here, first leg. This is maybe the most unsurprising first leg ever from Mats, given all he's said over the last couple of weeks. Mats, what's your leg here?
I mean, this is a no-brainer here, boys. It's easy, minus 120 or minus 125 right now. Get it while it's hot. Napoli, money line. They're starting off the season hot. They're going to finish in second, maybe first. How you do that is start the season hot. They're winning the game, but they're going to win by more than one. Take a money line for the value, boys. Napoli money line.
I'm not
Well, so
overly
yeah,
confident. I don't feel great about them. I already don't feel great about our first Kulpi after Mott's threw that one on the lesson plan, I'm gonna call it. My leg is a team that we're all hot on. We all agree on. They're playing a team that maybe should have gone down last year. We expect them to maybe go down this year in Cagliari. Roma are going to open this up with a win. Take the value when you see it. Roma money line minus 120 against Cagliari. This is a
Wait,
layup.
that's your value, but mine is the same minus 120. Mine's not value? Question
Roma's
mark.
better. Roma's better than Napoli, and Cagliari is a worse team than Verona. Find your value.
find the value. And that's exactly what I did. We've reached all the firepower that Roma's bringing to Serie A this season. You can feel very comfortable at minus 105. The longest, is it longest or shortest leg? I don't even know how you would explain that.
I think longest
What-
leg.
Whatever it is, the highest paying odds of the first Colby at minus 105. Roma over 1.5 goals. You heard it here first. Over 1.5 goals. You put those three legs together, you have minus 120, you have minus 105, and you have minus 125. You're going at plus 544 for the first weekend of Serie A. You put 100 bones down, you're bringing home 544 or 644 if you want to count your original bet. I don't care how you do it. Just bet it, put it in, get excited, get involved. You heard it here. The first Colpi de Luna plus 544. Thank you, DraftKings.
Also, get help if you're addicted to gambling.
And
We will
that
post the number as well.
is our first rendition.
Colpi di luna.
We love it.
Colpe de Luna.
Quick break, guys. We get back. We're just going to round out this episode, as always, with the Mercato update. Paisanos, we are back to wrap it up. There's a little bit of time left in the window. We don't have a ton of new locks, but we do have a little bit of news. Mott's, Juve, again, they are all over the news. I'm sick of talking Juve, but they do have something and somewhat of a club legend.
You're sick of talking, dude. I wake up every morning to a bunch of 5 different player rumors of who's being sold, who's being brought in. I don't know what to believe at this point, but this is fact. This is concrete. Wojtek Szczesny, club legend, I don't care what anybody says, has officially agreed to mutually part ways. He was making like $12 million. It was a very high salary. We were trying to get him off the books. He was maybe going to Saudi, maybe going to Monza. Talks broke down. But this is what makes him a club legend. He said, everything that Juve has given to me, if they do no longer want me, I will part ways to make it easier for them on their books. That's why he's a club legend. He was part of the 9 years in a row. I don't know when he kind of transitioned from the phone. I think he won 3 or 4 Scudettos, won 2 or 3 Coppa Italias, won a couple of Italian Super Cups. This man's won silverware. He's a legend of the club. Love him. Thank you for your service, Szczesny.
Brings a tear to my eye.
Out of the Eternal City Lugs, we had a little bit of news in Rome. I think everybody was a little bit surprised with this one. It kind of came out of nowhere. Unsure if it has legs, but regardless, very big news.
I'm certainly surprised. Someone's coming for the third head of the dragon in Rome. I'm not really sure how this is supposed to work, but certainly surprised. Paulo Dybala linked to Saudi Arabia. Not sure of the terms that they came to, but it appears that Roma's already somewhat on board, and Dybala is also somewhat on board. There have been rumors swirling that the deal may be off due to some marital issues between Paolo and his newly wedded wife. But from all the things that I'm seeing, and I will say that Fabrizio Romano, I would trust with my life over any random broad from Italy. So if Fabrizio's saying that this deal is close, then it must be really freaking close. Dybala to leave Roma. Watch out for in a couple days here. Certainly a game changer for the boys in the capital city. We'll see how this turns out before the weekend.
It's hard to tell. Like I said, you don't know what's rumor, what's not rumor. I mean, Fabrizio is a good source, but he even gets stuff wrong. I would hate this for the Serie A. Dybala is must-watch TV. Sule, one big reason why he wanted Roma was to play with Dybala. That would be kind of funny if Dybala recruited Sule and then was like, "See you never, bro." But I don't want this for Roma. I'm high on Roma, that three-headed dragon. I want Dybala to stay in this league.
I would be devastated if this happens. But what I will say is there are guys that I have a feeling like they're not going to go to Saudi. Like they're going to want to stick around. Dybala strikes me as one of the guys that is down to go to Saudi and take the payday. I don't know
Possibly.
why he just strikes
But
me as that.
he always was refusing Premier League. Like he was always like, I want to stay in Italy, like refusing the more money. I want to stay in Italy. However, Dybala's won almost everything you can besides the Champions League. He's been in 2 finals. He's won everything you can in Italy. So he could very well be like, I've done everything. I don't need to. But why would you do that now with everything Roma's done in this
Yeah,
Mercado and
this would not
how
be the
much hype
time
they yeah.
for sure. Kicking it on to another major Serie A player in Lautaro Martinez. Big one for Inter. Extended his contract through 2029. In the modern game, that only means so much, but what it does do, it locks him in. Somebody would have to pay a pretty hefty price to get him out of Inter Milan. This is a big deal for them. With all the gripes that I have with him, he's been a phenomenal player for Inter, a loyal soldier, and one of the guys that has really helped them get to where they are now. This is a major deal for Inter Milan.
It certainly instills confidence in Inter, especially with the financial issues they've had in the past couple of years. Way to lock down your guy. Really big for them. I'm certain that there have been teams that have inquired about Lautaro, and Inter has gone quiet. They've stonewalled them. This really shows Inter that Lautaro is here to stay. Believes in the transition that they are due for in the next couple of years, and he will be at the forefront, leading them through any turbulence that they might come on.
Yeah, good move for Inter. You gotta lock up the guy who was the Serie A player of the season, most goals last year. Interesting stat that I heard today that I wanted to relay to the Paisanos. There has not been I struggle with the pronunciation of this word, a quiero compañera. It's basically the Serie A golden boot is what it means. Repeat since Di Natale did it in 2010 and 2011 and 2012. So those 2 years. Interesting to see if Lautaro can be the first to repeat the golden boot of Serie A. We will find out this season on Calcio Culture.
I wouldn't be
Just a
that
note on that
surprised.
stat.
Neither would I.
Just a note on that stat, Mats. Ciro Immobile won 4 of those.
Not
And
in a
to
row,
know
though.
that never,
Yeah.
I know, but to know that he never went back to back to back just kind of speaks to his longevity. So a quick late shout to Ciro Immobile, even though we've shouted him out on this
There we
pod
have it.
before. We'll do it here.
Yeah, fair. But to wrap it up, in AC Milan, we have some official news, some kind of updates that may or may not be true based off of what we're seeing. Logs, what's official? What's the news?
Emerson Royale, truly official. He played in an AC Milan kit yesterday, wearing number 22 after another Brazilian legend, Kaká, wore it for the same red and black stripes. AC got that deal done for around 15 million euros, basically netting out what they did with Kalulu, unfortunately. But again, we've talked about this before. Goodbye, decent discount on a high ceiling, decently low floor player. You know what you're going to get at his worst. We do not know what he is at his best. But just happy to see that we've replaced Davide Calabria, at least for the moment.
People are
And
saying that's the next Cafu.
People are saying that. I have heard that in the street.
Who said that?
I was scrolling on Twitter and somebody put that.
Let
and
me
then I
talk
looked
to them.
and
Let me talk to whoever this
somebody
is.
put a homeless man that looked like Cafu and was like, "You mean this guy?" It was so funny.
People are talking in the streets. Emerson Royale, the next Cafu. But to keep it at AC, a little bit of a development here in the Fofana adventure, I'll call it. We have upped our bid to 25 million euros. That was the number that Monaco was holding us to. We were holding strong at 20 million euros, and in classic fashion, we're not budging. But good to see that we've come to our senses and realize that 5 million euros is absolutely fucking nothing when you think about this. So good to see we matched that number. Fofana has already said he only wants Milan. Fonseca came out yesterday after the game and said, everyone knows that we're going after Fofana. He's the guy that we want for our midfield. So good to see that we're finally pulling out of our pockets the final quarters, the final pennies to get the deal done. We'll see what Monaco says going into the weekend.
I'm over here listening to you talk, Logan, and I hear $5 million is absolutely nothing. Giuntoli didn't want to go up $5 million. Fofana only wants Milan. Todibo only wanted Juve. I just had some
But we did it. But we
major
did
regret
it.
right
We
there. I
had.
know. But I was thinking, like, based on your preseason, you guys got a stacked midfield. I mean, Fofana is almost an added luxury. It's like, do you guys need him? I know he's a great player. This would be a great bargain buy. You could probably flip him in 2-3 years, way more. What are your guys' thoughts on the added luxury here? Would you like to see that money spent in a different spot?
I personally, at this point, no, because we've been going after him all summer. It would just feel like such a waste of time to just reallocate after seeing what we've seen this summer. However, Vos and I spoke about this a little bit today off the pod. Seeing that Yacine Adli is wearing the number 94 as a midfielder, to me, screams he's on the outs. He's been linked to Saudi the entire summer. He's never been in one of the favorites, not for Pioli, and it doesn't seem like for Fonseca. The thing with Yacine Adli, that guy has put on so many personal family barbecues at his own house just to
Yeah,
just
this is true. This
show-
is true. This isn't a made up
just-
Logs thing. This is real.
This is like a real fact. This guy has put on like 4 or 5 different barbecues at his house to bring the team over, just to prove that he was like a team player and that he loves this
To get
team.
his spot on the roster? Yo, that's so
And
funny.
He's still battling for minutes. They've devoted to number 94. So I think the thing is that Yassine's out the door. So having Fofana come in to fortify a little bit, it will be a nice add.
Yeah, for me, it is a good signing. I would be very disappointed to see Benacer phased out of the starting 11 because off of pure ability, I would say Benacer is better than all of these players. I put Tijani Reinders in there. I put Ruben Loftus-Cheek. When Benacer is playing, AC Milan has always been a much better team. Off of the back of his injuries, I'm not sure we're going to see the same player, but I would like to see him get the chance to be that pacer, that regista, to showcase what he can do, because what he does do well, he does extremely well. And this was a guy that was linked for big moves, 45 million, 50 million to the Premier League. With the injuries, those kind of died down. But yeah, I like Fofana. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about him. I don't think he's overly skilled. I think he would be the 4th best midfielder in this team. So I would see him as a rotational piece personally.
You guys get this deal done. I'm just thinking of your roster in my head as you guys were talking. You guys are absolutely loaded with this guy, and it gives Fonseca the ability to play in so many different ways. You can plug in Loftus-Cheek at the 10. You can put Pulisic at the 10. You can play Pulisic at the right wing. You can play Chukwueze at the right wing. You can play Salamakers at the right wing, right back. I mean, there's endless options. You got Jovic as a backup striker. You guys have a ton of options if you lock this down. This makes you guys very, very deep. Definitely built for 3 competitions. It'll be interesting to see what Fonseca can do with this loaded roster that you guys have.
Well, here's my thing with AC Milan and watching their past couple of windows. This is what I'm worried about. Yes, the squad is getting deep, but I don't think it's getting better, right? Like the guys that are coming in are as good as what we already have. And I kind of include Morata there, although I do rate him. There's no real upgrades. Pavlovic is an upgrade, yes. Is Pavlovic like a game-breaking player? No. Emerson Royale, is he better than Calabria? I guess, yeah. Not a game-breaking player. Fofana, same thing. This is the cycle that we're kind of getting into, and I call it an identity crisis. What are you trying to be? Because this team is really built to win what? The Europa League at best? They're not good enough to win the Champions League. They could win the Scudetto, but what are you trying to be? What are you trying to go to? I would rather see some funds pooled to get one player this year, one player next year that become knock-on starters that will knock somebody else out of the starting 11. And that's what makes you better. That's what Juventus have done. They bought players that can compete and are probably better than what they had to try to get to that next level. You see that, and that's how you improve. Otherwise, you're going to get stagnant. We see this with Sevilla. Sevilla replaces guys laterally. They get old. We're just going to replace them with somebody equally as good. They're perennial Europa League winners. I don't think that's what AC Milan want to be. And I just don't think management has noticed that yet.
Fair.
I totally agree, Vos. One thing I will say though is we've had a luxury of not having to make some of those buys. When you think about the development of Teo, he's now worth 60, 70 million. The development of Leao, he's worth now 70, 80, 90 million to some teams. Mignon, now worth 50 million after we bought him for 15. We had Tonali sell for 55. So we had players of that caliber in that price target, but then we've never gone and bought somebody for more than 30 million in the last 4 or 5 years. So what I do think is, and you talk about the next phase of certain teams, I think that this window has solidified the fact that we can now rotate players without having to decrease skill level to that much of an extent mid-game or midweek, so that now we can be consistent in all 3 competitions. And come next summer, we're going to have the funds from our performance in Serie A, Coppa Italia wins, and Champions League performances to then have a budget for next season to spend on big name players. And Mats, this did not go unnoticed. I heard that jinx through your teeth the entire time. I'm not here for it. AC will do well this season, despite your witchcraft.
Coppa Italia, you always say punt that thing.
I'll put it out the window.
You say that. I hate that you say that. Like, why?
Out the window.
All right. That on the bombshell that Lowe's hates the Coppa Italia. We are done for today. Next week, when we get back, guys, we will have seen match week number 1. We'll have an idea of how teams are trying to play. We'll have an idea of where they need to get better and who is looking really good to start it. Logs, where can everybody follow us and interact with us here?
Keep it coming. Keep the comments coming. Keep the tweets coming. Keep the likes, the subscribes. We're on all your favorite socials: Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Calcio Culture FC. And you can also find us on all your streaming platforms, Spotify and Apple Music, Apple Pods. Mats, take us away.
Paisanos, I hope you're ready for Calcio to be back. Do not be a cagoots, and Forza Calcio Culture.